Okay, good morning, good afternoon, class. Now I would like to discuss to you the types of living cells in living things. Okay, so we had the different types of objectives here. You should be able to classify the different cell types, plant and animal tissues, and specify the functions of each. You should be able to distinguish prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, plant and animal, according to their distinguishing features. Okay. So basically, prior to the invention of the first microscope, everything that could not be seen by the naked eye was unexplainable. Okay. Until such time that Robert Hooke in 1665 came. He was an English physicist. He was the one who used the first light microscope and look at thin slices of plant tissues. Okay. Specifically the slice of cork. Okay, caught by his eyes. So under the microscope, quark seems to be made of thousands of tiny chambers. So who called this chambers? Okay, if you would look at this, these are the different scientists that you can recall when you have made your first assignment. Then came Anton van Leeuwenhoek. He published his observations on tiny living things and organisms, which he named animalcules. It was believed that Leeuwenhoek was the first to observe under his microscope the structure of red blood cell of different and animals as well as sperm cell. Now, one of the leading botanists in this time is Robert Brown. In 1831, he was able to compare diverse kinds of plant specimens under the microscope. Okay, also Brown was responsible to indicate that there is a common thing about them. They're all composed of cells. There inside the cell is a dark dense spot which he termed as the nucleus. And after that came German botanist Matthias Leiden in 1838. He concluded that all plant parts are made of cells. After Sladen, that was called Matthias Sladen and Swan in 1839, also a botanist, which is also a close friend of Sladen, stated that all animal tissues are composed of cells. So after that came Rodolphe Virchow in 1858. He concluded that all cells came from pre-existing cells. Okay. Now, what are the different facts about cells? So, the first ever cell that originated on Earth was a prokaryotic cell. We knew this, that it was the archaea first before the true bacteria. So, all living organisms actually originated from a prokaryotic cell. So, from this, eukaryotic cells evolved from the prokaryotic cells. Okay, so the size of a cell is usually determined by its diameter and not by its length. That's why you can see on the other point that I have sent you that there's a relationship between the surface area and the volume. So the usual size of a typical cell in human body can range from 10 micrometer to 100 micrometer. Okay, so micrometer stands for micron, which is 1 millionth of a meter or a 1,000th of a millimeter. So the largest cell to be considered in human body is approximately 120 micrometer, and that's the female mature egg. Okay, and the smallest cell in human body is the spermatozoon head with the size of 5 micrometers. So you can see now and compare the extreme size of the egg and the sperm cell. Okay. Additional facts about cell. Okay. Cells are the smallest life units on this planet. Okay. They are self-sustaining. You can always compare them with a big house. Okay. Which can support the family to survive. A house which has a complete parts. Okay. Bacteria are basically cells. But do you know that we carry around 3 to 5 pounds of bacteria in our body? So that's too much in our body. Then these bacteria only make 3% of our entire body mass as compared. That's because bacteria are way smaller than our cells. And to count them, there are 37.2 trillion, okay, in our body. Okay, that's how many they are. So in this information, I would say that there are three types of bacterial cells in our body that they're classified in microbiology. One is beneficial or the good bacteria. 2 is the harmful, the bacteria that can cause diseases inside our body. And 3 is the opportunistic bacterium. What is an opportunistic bacterium? Opportunistic bacterium is a bacterium wherein it gains a wrong access in the anatomy of our body, specifically those parts that are considered to be or supposed to be aseptic, meaning wala dapat siyang mikrobyo, ay pag nakapasok doon yung mga beneficial, magiging opportunistic sila. One example of that is Escherichia coli or E. coli. Escherichia coli is always found on feces, on the gut of animals. They can be transmitted to us through food. So in the intestine, it's normal to have them as long as the body can eliminate them. But in cases that makapasok sila sa mga anatomy like the urinary tract and the bladder, that was infection or UTI is more common to human than men, because this is the explanation. Now, cells are everywhere. Okay, we should always think that cells are everywhere. The smallest to the biggest kind of living organisms are made up of cells. Okay, so when you walk around the streets, okay, the cells are very responsible, meaning the cell is the smallest representation of how a living organism can survive. So later on, you would see that given all the parts of the cell, the structures of the cell, you would understand why we exist, we live, we survive, and we're able to balance things that is around us because of those cells that was inside our body. So there are hundred of different types of cells, but the two types of cells that make up living things are eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells. Again, eukaryotic cells are the cells that we have as a multicellular organism, and prokaryotic cells belongs to those bacterial cells like the archaea and the true bacteria. Okay. So, what are eukaryotic cells? So, these organisms are carry out of their metabolism inside enclosed by membranes. So, they're enclosed by membranes. Okay. Not only actually eukaryotic cell, but also prokaryotic cells are also enclosed by membranes. So, examples of them are protists, fungi, plants, and animals. Okay. So, under eukaryotic cells, we have two types. We have plant cell and animal cell. Okay. So, plant cell are basically the unit of life in organisms. Under the kingdom Plantae, they are eukaryotic, which is because they have true nucleus along with specialized structures called organelles that carry out different functions. So, plant cells have special organelles called chloroplasts. These chloroplasts are responsible for the reproduction of sugars through the process of photosynthesis. And you are also aware that there are two types of photosynthesis. We have the dark reaction and the light reaction photosynthesis. Okay, and also the animal cell. This is a typical eukaryotic cell. It was enclosed by a plasma membrane. It contains a membrane-bound nucleus and organelles, meaning this layer really protects the cell from being damaged from its external environment. Unlike the eukaryotic cells of plants and animals, fungi, animal cells do not have cell wall. So between plant cell and animal cell, cell wall is only for plant cell. Okay. Now, how about prokaryotic cells? Okay. Ang prokaryotic, wala siyang true nucleus. Wala siyang membrane-bound organelles. Okay. But later on, you would see that there are still parts that can be considered as a protective layer for prokaryotic cells. Actually, cell wall is one. Okay. May membrane din siya. Okay. Pero hindi siya katulad ng membrane na meron ang eukaryotic cells. Okay. So for these organisms within the domain bacteria and archaea, okay, they have the prokaryotic cells, while other forms of life are eukaryotic. So you can see here, this is a plant cell. This is bigger as compared to the animal cell. Okay, there were parts. When you say the major parts, which is you can see here and you can also see in animal cell. So makikita nyo, no? So hindi na natin to isa-isahin. But later on, I will discuss on the basic parts that they have. Okay, so punta muna tayo dito. Okay, so tingnan natin. Isa-isa tayo, no? Okay, now, for example, chloroplast, you cannot see that inside an animal cell. So wala, chloroplast plant cell lang to. Okay. So ribosomes is for protein synthesis. Okay, how about rough ER and smooth ER? Okay, in this endoplasmic reticulum, these two types can be seen in animal cell as well. So, a rough ER is identified to have the ribosomes, which is responsible for protein synthesis, where smooth endoplasmic reticulum is responsible for the packaging of fatty acids or lipids. Okay, what else? Cytoplasm, ito yung kung saan naka-embed yung mga organelles. There were gel type, fluid type, okay? Para siyang gelatin, no? Kaya nga kailangan ay naka-embed kasi hindi siya pwedeng sobrang fluid kasi magko-collapse yung mga organelles, okay? Lysosomes is an organelle that is used for the digestion of waste material. Siya rin yung responsable para i-digest niyo yung malalaking compound sa loob ng cells para mas pakinabangan ng cell o 'pag hindi na kailangan, kailangan ilabas niya na. So mitochondria, makikita niyo marami siyang klase ng mitochondria. I mean maraming mitochondria, okay, hindi lang isa. Okay, ito yung nagpo-produce ng adenosine triphosphate. This is the source of energy for cells. Okay, this is the reason why we can move, we can walk, we can stand because of the adenosine triphosphate that mitochondria was able to produce. And how this happens? Okay, sa cell respiration kasi may uh, process, glycolysis, electron transport chain. Okay, then ano yung ginagawa dito? This is the capability of converting sugar into ATP, NADPH, and NAD. So may mga bilang-bilang siya kung ilan ang aalis, ilan ang papasok. But this is actually a cycle. So it's very important that cell respiration push through. Okay, this is also oxidation reduction reaction. Andito rin yun. Okay, now this is the vacuole. So if you would notice, the vacuole of the plant was situated in the middle as compared to the animal, no? Because the animal cell, in the animal cell, ang vacuole nasa gilid lang. At saka minsan meron, minsan wala. Pero sa plant cell, napakahalaga. Why? Because the vacuole contains the, aside from its work for digestion, okay, is sa plant cell to ha, is also a storage for water. Kaya it's more bigger and it functions for cytoplasmic streaming. What is cytoplasmic streaming? It is responsible for the rotation of water within the plant cell para i-distribute yung tubig. Okay. So what else? We have here the peroxisome. So later on you will see how the peroxisome works. And then we have the vesicle. Okay, this is the Golgi apparatus. Okay, what part can you see in the plant cell that is not present in the animal cell is plasmodesmata, no? Okay, sa plant cell lang yan nakikita. And then the nuclear pore, which actually ang nuclear pore makikita rin sa nuclear membrane ng animal cell. Okay, ito yung responsable kung saan lumalabas dito yung mga para sa mga protein synthesis, sa release ng RNA galing sa loob ng nucleus. Okay, so let's go now for the animal cell. Okay, so yun yung mahalaga. Tingnan niyo dito yung mga hindi niyo nakita sa plant cell kanina. Okay, so I think itong centriole and centrosome matrix kasi 'di ba in cell division in undergoing the mitosis and meiosis cell division, centriole contributes a big part because it is where the chromosomes are going as it divides, no? Parang dalawang centriole 'yan, tapos pupunta ron yung chromosome when they split into two, depende kung anong klase ng division, if it is mitosis or meiosis. Okay. What else? So ito 'yan, chromatin, no? So wala nito sa plant cell. Okay, nucleolus meron din. Okay, meron din, you check it out. Then glycosomes, cytosol, what else? Okay, so ito. Okay, now let's go for prokaryotic or bacterial cell. If you see the prokaryotic or bacterial cell, it is very simple. But despite the fact that it was so simple, I think this is the most dangerous kind of cell because it can really kill people. It can kill organism. Okay, so you see it's made up of capsule or slime layer. It's a cell wall at plasma membrane, no? As compared, hindi nga lang ganun kakomplikado yung kanyang plasma membrane. So, yung mga unang antibiotic, for example, nung araw, yung mga antibiotic na discover nung araw, Of course, when you say antibiotic, this is also bacterial organisms that are being modified to be used by human to have a counter effect on bacterial cells that infects the body. Okay, so una, dito lang muna yan. Ito lang muna ang sisirain, then the whole bacterial cell will die. But now, as bacteria evolve, it should already inhibit directly going to the chromosomes para mapatay na talaga yung bacteria kasi sobra na silang matapang, nag-mutate na sila, okay? You can also see the chromosomes, walang nucleus ang prokaryotic cells, no? They have their plasmids. So aside from containing chromosomes in the nucleus region, ang kanilang DNA ay nasaan? Sa plasmid. Plasmid was used for genetic engineering. Ito yung ginagamit sa genetic engineering. Of course, they also have the cytoplasm, they have the pili, and flagellum. Flagellum are also present in animal cells specifically, pero hindi lahat. Specifically for sperm cell. Okay, merong flagella yon. Okay, then meron siyang food granule. The ribosomes are also scattered. Okay, take note that ribosomes in animal cell is not only present in the endoplasmic reticulum. There are also ribosomes that are distributed in the cytoplasm of the uh, animal cell and plant cell. So take note of that. Okay, what else? So let's have a review. Okay, tingnan natin. Okay. Okay, cell membrane. It separates the cell from the external environment. It controls passage of organic molecule. Ibig sabihin, kinukontrol ng cell membrane yung pagpasok at paglabas ng molecule. Depende kung anong klase ng molecule. Kasi pag organic molecule, meron tayong tinatawag channel. Okay, channel protein where this molecule can pass through inside and outside the cell. We also have the sodium potassium pump. Okay, these are also channels, no? Okay, so pag pumasok ang potassium, kailangan lumabas ang sodium and vice versa. Okay, how about ions, waters, and oxygen? So they can just pass through without using the channels. Okay, so cytoplasm, okay na tayo dito. Nucleus is this location of DNA. Nucleus, okay, so yun yung siya yung pumoprotect sa DNA at siya din yung gumagawa ng synthesis ng ribosomes para ilabas dun sa nuclear pore papuntang endoplasmic reticulum kasi doon for the ribosomes for protein synthesis. So hindi ko na alam, but since ribosomes is not only located in the endoplasmic reticulum, anywhere it is in the cell it can support protein synthesis. Okay. Now mitochondria, okay. Peroxisomes, hindi ko to na-define kanina. It oxidizes and breaks down fatty acids and amino acids and detoxifies poisons. So ito pala yung responsable para ma-breakdown naman yung mga fatty acids tsaka amino acids. Okay, and also detoxifies. Ibig sabihin, yung mga poison na papasok sa cell, toxic substances, siya yung bahala doon. Okay? The vesicle is storage and transport. Storage and transport for vesicles and for vacuole, digestive functions in plant cell. Okay, centrosome, okay, unspecified role in cell division in animal cell, organizing center of microtubules in animal cell. And for lysosomes, digestions of micromolecules, recycling of worn out organelles. Cell wall, this is for the plant cell. May cell wall din yung prokaryotic cell, okay? Then chloroplast, plant cell lang because this is responsible for photosynthesis. Endoplasmic reticulum, it modifies protein and synthesizes lipids. So always remember that. Protein for rough and synthesizes lipids for smooth. And how about Golgi apparatus? Modifies, sort, tags, package, and distribute lipids and protein. And how about for cytoskeleton? Actually, cytoskeleton, yung unang isang PowerPoint na meron kayo, makikita nyo doon yung kanyang function. Okay? Marami siyang parts at marami siyang function. Okay? Just check it out. And then the flagella, of course, for locomotion. Yung cilia, aside from attachment, ang cilia ay ginagamit din ng bacteria para exchange in genetic material. So there could be a symbiotic relationship between two bacterial organisms exchanging their genetic material, meaning they could use this for infection. So ganun ka complex pagdating sa prokaryotic cells. Okay? Now let's have the comparison sa isahan natin. Ano ba pinagkaiba ng animal cell sa plant cell? Okay? So pag sinabi, of course, animal cells are smaller, plant cell are larger. Walang cell wall ang animal cell, meron ang plant cell. Okay? Sinabi ko na to kanina, ang nucleus ng animal ay nasa gitna, pero ang nucleus ay nasa gilid. Okay? At ang makikita mo sa plant cell ay yung vacuole sa gitna. Ang animal cell marami siyang vacuoles, maliliit lang. Ang plant cell isa lang na malaki because it contains more water. Okay, ang animal cell cannot synthesize nutrients. It cannot produce its own way of nutrients. It only depends on those nutrients that is being ingested by the living organism. Sa plant cell naman, kaya. Kaya nga it can produce its own food, okay, in the process of photosynthesis. Of course, the presence of walang plasmodesmata ang animal cell at mayroong plasmodesmata ang plant cell. Okay, what else? Plants have plastids, of course, X yan sa animal. Plants have cell wall. They are made up of cellulose. Walang cell wall ang animal. Ang plant mayroong large central vacuole. Okay, there are temporary vacuoles but they're very small. So hindi naman lahat meron. Okay, plants have plasmodesmata and animals do not have plasmodesmata. Okay, plants do not have centriole because they do not use this for cell division, but animals do have paired centrioles within centrosome. Okay, plants do not have cholesterol in cell membrane. Okay, so merong cholesterol in cell membrane. So for storage, excess glucose as starch for plants. And pag may sobra tayong glucose, they were automatically converted to glycogen. Okay? So plants have a regular shape, generally have an amorphous shape for animals. Okay, now you have to compare and contrast. Ito yung pinaka major organelles that you can see in both mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum, the nucleus, cytoplasm, and ribosomes. Wherein in plants, you can see only cell wall, the large vacuole, the chloroplast, the flagella only in gametes. Meron din, no, pero selective. Pero sa animal, wala siyang cell wall, wala siyang chloroplast, meron siyang flagella. Depende rin sa animal cell. Okay? Now, okay. So, I think this covers now the lesson that we have today. Thank you.